Come in. Oh,
Hello, Joseph, is it?
hi, Dr. Zapata. Yes, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. What seems to be the problem, Joe?
Well, I'm having difficulty drawing from imagination.
Oh, Joseph, just so you know, that's totally normal. Why don't you tell me a little more about your problem? Is it that you can only draw from imagination if you're completely alone?
Doc, I can't ever draw from imagination.
What about if you're completely relaxed?
When I'm totally relaxed, I can't imagine a thing.
I see. Joseph, it's important to know that even with severe cases like this, there's always hope. I can prescribe an experimental therapy called Form from Imagination.
Form from imagination?
It's early days, but clinical trials are extremely promising. Why don't you try this for 6 months and then check back in with me?
Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Did you just draw this?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, Doc, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination?
Oh no.
You wouldn't. I mean, you drew this.
That's right.
Wow.
Form from Imagination is an experimental therapy and is not yet approved for use by the FDA. Do not use Form from Imagination if you are already taking any prescriptions for drawing from reference, working side size, or tracing photos you didn't even take. Stop taking Form from Imagination if you experience any of these side effects: loss of interest in your personal projects, megalomaniacal self-confidence, hallucinations, unless they're the kind you're hoping for, drawing better than Steven Zapata, or feelings that purchasing the course was enough and you don't really need to do the exercises. Call your doctor if you have stiff gestures, flat forms, or boring ideas to address a possible life-threatening condition. Full sketchbooks have been reported with Form from Imagination and medicines like it. Other risks include long-term art careers, too many clients, and being worth more than you're charging for. Call your doctor today and ask about Form from Imagination. Nemogtwist. Mogtist. Engine Can Uri. Tuo. And Israel Grant. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Am I loud enough? Do I sound clear? Let me make sure this is all still good, because I updated OBS. Are all my filters the same? Looks like it. I look relatively loud enough. Hello, Yankee Art. Let's honor some patrons since the last stream, which was on January 10th, 10 days ago. We had Indigo Snakes and Tim DeGroot support the channel, joining the Patreon. Thank you so much to Indigo Snakes and Tim DeGroot. Consider yourselves truly honored. I really do honor you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Indigo Snakes and Tim DeGroot. Wow. All right. What's going on? I know it's late, but whatever. It's like, so whatever. Big comfy season? Oh, yeah. It's cold here in New York. And the studio in particular is freezing. Just getting my bearings about me here. Haven't drawn much in the past week. A little bit, not too much. Most of my work hours have gone to boring admin stuff behind the scenes. Classic admin stuff. Copy pasting, updating things, checking boxes. You'll all see what that's about probably in a week or two, something like that. Actually, maybe this week. Have you tried lucid dreaming and drawing in a dream? I've been trying to do that for the past few months. Nope. When I was young, like a teenager, I did try to lucid dream with some of the kooky techniques people talk about online, keeping a dream journal and trying to be mindful throughout the day and stuff like that. I did it for a little bit, but nothing came of it. And I wasn't very consistent with it. What are you drawing? And right now, nothing. I'm just doing some abstract shapes right now. To get my mind back into drawing land. How are your wife and baby doing? Very good. Everyone is healthy. Rested? Wouldn't go that far, but healthy. Can you say you're healthy if no one's rested? You know what? It's pretty late and I'm pretty tired, so I want a little music. Classic. Stream fallback. The Divinity Original Sin 2. Theme. OST. Ever so light. So soft in the background. Barely there. See how loud this gets. Ever so soft, ever so light. Shane says, I've had some success with lucid dreaming drawing, but not to the level I want yet. If you get a grip on it, report back. Give us the weirdness. Tell us what you can do in there. If I could lucid dream, I'm not sure I would spend my time drawing. I feel like I spend enough time drawing. I feel like instead of like creating the mid-level abstraction of drawing in the dream, I would just surround myself with the kinds of things that I draw to kind of see what they are with an unmediated quality to them, you know? Because I never dream the kinds of stuff that I draw. I really can't even think of one time that I have. So I would be interested in seeing it, you know? I think for me, I don't know if this is true for everybody else, but I've spent so much of my life drawing, just thousands and thousands of hours. So in contexts where you think you would see the kinds of things that come from within you so much, lucid dream, well, any kind of dreaming, let's say dreaming, and just to be straightforward, being in altered states of consciousness under the influence of substances, I've never seen anything. I don't, you know. Yeah, I don't see stuff in those states. It's weird. I think my brain's just like, we do enough of that. And it's like, I can visualize it vividly in my head, and I can also concretize it into an artifact. So my brain's like, why do we need this other thing? But I'd be interested. If I could lucid dream, I would just see the stuff. Steven, I know you draw a lot with pencils on streams besides the digital art. Yeah, I think by volume I'd do more pencil than digital on stream. But do you find yourself picking up the pen and ink for fun to see what you can get away with without erasing? Fun practice? Yeah, I draw with ink a lot. There were periods in my past where I probably drew more with ink than with pencil. Not long periods, but definitely there were periods. I love ink. Here, look, I have a ink pen in my satchel right now. In my saber cachet. I'll draw with it a little bit. Just to help me zero in. Who's this sinister Steven? Stlurtnern, maybe? Stevlin? Liloxo says, hi, I love you. This is the first time I've caught your live. Oh, I'm just soaking up the love. Oh, I'm glad you're here. Yes. Yes. Say you love me, stranger on the internet. Feed my narcissism. Love me, love me. Do you use screen tablet or screenless one? I currently use a screen tablet, but I prefer screenless ones for most drawing applications. I use a screen one because I do a lot of handwritten notes for students, and that's something I never For some reason, I can draw fine with a screenless tablet, but I cannot write. I can't write like characters, like written language for some reason. Joe says, any thoughts on Cynic's new AI video, or is that too drama-esque to speak on? No, nothing dramatic. I don't have anything dramatic to say about it. I haven't talked to Robert about it. I don't know. Just because you framed it that way, I'm like, I probably shouldn't talk about it publicly without talking to him first. That wouldn't have occurred to me if you hadn't framed it that way. So yeah, maybe I'll just say nothing. But no, I mean, I think I didn't watch it like the day it came out. I think when I saw it, it had been out for a few days. So I scoped out the comments a little bit, and the things that I felt about it were represented in the comments, and Robert responded to almost all of them. So I kind of know where he stands, you know? I think so let me sort of just detach what I'm going to say next from anything having to do with Cynic/Rob. Just on AI in general, and this is why ever since I got involved with the AI stuff, I basically have refrained completely, from the most part, from commenting on the takes of commenting on the takes of other artists and my peers and stuff like that. I think I have come to realize that I am just much more severe. All right, first off, I have a very particular lens, right? And often in the AI discussion, people are talking from different lenses and they don't realize it. Like, usually when I'm talking about it, I am lensed through someone who is an artist for a living and who was in a particular industry, like the entertainment industry. And I'm often discussing it through the lens of, I am grieving for my industry. And I don't think a lot of other people are coming at it from that lens. Like they're often, I feel in the subtext a lot of the time, people are saying like, everything's going to be fine with art. Obviously, the industries are going to crumble, but art is going to be fine. And that's not the level I'm operating at. I'm like, it matters to me that the industries might crumble. And that's my focus. That's like where I'm focused. For me, I do care about how art in general will fare. But for me, the pertinent level of analysis currently is the industries, you know, because they frame a lot of people's ambitions and structure and what kind of drawing they're going to pursue, and that matters. All those entrance points matter, you know? So that is the way that I'm usually lensing it when I discuss it, and I've come to realize that most people are not lensing it through that. They're like, I don't know, everybody who talks about it seems to talk about it in terms of like, art's gonna be fine, so let's just see what it's gonna become. And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I'm really not. I'm like, I've made my living, made my money, lived my life being a commercial artist. And some people think this is crass. You know, the pro AI people who fight with artists often throw it out there. Like why are you wasting your breath talking from an industry lens? It's like, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I talk about it from that perspective? It's like, okay, maybe it turns out you're a very high-minded AI artist or whatever, but I'm perfectly happy to say the industries were a compelling and beautiful thing, and they're going through a transformation, and for a lot of us who've been in them, they might become something we're not interested in being a part of anymore. And that's just an interesting and pertinent discussion as far as I'm concerned. So there's that. I'm lensing it particularly through that, and I'm kind of surprised to see that a lot of people are just they're not lensing it that way, and they don't care to. You know, they just sort of accept that, yeah, obviously that's going to happen. Let's talk about, how all art is going to become fine art or something like that. I don't know. And the other big second point is that I've realized that I am just way more black-pilled about it than most people. I've realized. Any AI discussion that I'm in, I've realized that I am surrounded by people way more sanguine about it than I am. And I find that my worry is a profound worry. And I see many more ways for this to go wrong than ways it could go right. Yeah, I'm just much more dire about it than most of my friends and peers. So, yeah, given that and realizing that like I'm just sort of on a different page than most people, that's why, for years now, since I put out The End of Art back at the end of 22, I've basically refrained from commenting on other people's takes. I mean, it took me a while to figure out how I was different, but that's pretty much where I am these days. Stephen, why do you prefer pencil as your main tool? I don't know. It's just always been my favorite thing. It's been with me since I was a kid, right as I fling one out of my hands. There's something about it that just feels right and pure to me. I don't know how else to put it. Miss Dudeman says, hi, Steven, I'm co-founding a game studio. Wasn't getting hired, so said, F it, I'll give myself a job title. Nice. I'm acting as the art director, concept artist, etc. Was curious if you had any advice. Get a dog. Advice. I mean, you're in for, it's gonna be hard as hell. Doing your own thing is like the hardest thing, for sure. What you're doing is way harder than getting hired. It may not feel that way right now, but it will. You know you're learning things when you realize, oh shit, this is way harder than just being told what to do every day. That's way easier. Get a dog. You need an animal to drag you outside every day, or you'll never see the sun. Yeah, I think the foundations really are the most important, like, the foundational stuff that everybody says. If you're gonna do your own thing, you need to make sure you exercise, you need to make sure you eat right, you need to make sure you maintain some modicum of a life. Definitely get a dog. See the sun. And beyond that, you know, it's always so particular to the situation and all that. I will say this. If you're going to hire anybody, if you're going to hire anybody, one of the first people you should hire is a money guy. I would hire a money guy as soon as you could. A lot of other people will seem tempting. People to help you with the art, studio manager, assistant, all that kind of stuff. In my experience, personal experience, and from meeting people and talking to them, getting their experience, I think I've come to the conclusion that the best choice you could make for a first hire is a money guy, a money person. Because most artists don't have any idea what they're doing with money. Much less so than just about any other temperament you're likely to encounter in any other industry. So just find someone who can do it all for you. What is a money guy? Sorry for the ignorance. Like, you know, if you're co-founding, you know, you're founder / CEO, right? Get a CFO, get a chief financial officer. If that money guy can do business development too, that would be ideal. A lot of them naturally do because they've been focused on money their whole lives, but Their Vibe says, do you stream on YouTube or other platforms as well? Only on YouTube. People always ask me, why don't I stream to Twitch and stuff like that? And I don't know, I used to stream on Twitch, but I just don't, I mean, people aren't on Twitch to see art, you know? And if they are there to see art, it looks like they mostly want to see VTubers and people doing vaguely anime-related things. And I don't know, even if you did well there in art, there's very, very low viewership. I think even with the 88 people I have watching me right now, I'd be doing pretty well on Twitch for art. Let me go take a look right now. Yeah, I mean, even at my current views, which is lower than average, I'd be in like the top 24 on Twitch. It's just like there's just not a lot of people watching on Twitch. And with my typical stream numbers, I'd be like in the top 10 or something like that. It's like that may sound cool or something, but it's just, you understand what I'm saying. It just means there's really nobody watching art on Twitch. It's just not a lot of people. So why am I gonna split my bandwidth dual streaming for no reason, essentially? I've done a couple TikTok streams to try that out. What TikTok has that the other platforms are losing quickly is discoverability. On my little TikTok test stream, I did just, I went live out of nowhere and I forget what it was, but I got like I think it was like 20 something followers sitting there for like an hour or two. That was no announcement. I wasn't pointing my audience there or anything like that. Now that would be a good thing if anything else about TikTok was good. But TikTok is an evil, evil place. Twitch is awful for discoverability unless you're in like the top 2 rows. Yeah, and if I pointed a lot of my YouTube audience there, I probably could get a bunch of viewers, and I already know there's a bunch of people who want to watch me stream. But I don't know, man. I don't get the feeling that anybody's on Twitch looking to be like challenged or anything like that. And I think they're just there to be entertained, to numb themselves. I mean, the same definitely goes for YouTube, but less so, I would say. I've come to realize lately that I no longer want to make art to entertain people. I want to make art to challenge people. That's really what matters to me deep down. So I don't think a place like Twitch is for me. But it might be for a lot of other people. A lot of people do. The main reason they want to make art is to entertain. And to have people sort of validate them for the entertaining quality of their art. And that's good, Then you should get it out there probably everywhere that you can, but that's not why I do art, and that's not why I post art, so I can just tell that I'm not a good fit for a place like Twitch. YouTube has educational content in it, so there is that. Yeah, I just think, obviously a lot of people are on YouTube to be entertained, but I know that, you know, and look, a lot of my YouTube consumption is raw entertainment as well, but I also specifically go to YouTube to watch the kind of stuff that I find edifying and challenging and things like that. So from my own personal use, I know that that is a reason people use YouTube. I have never gone to Twitch to be edified, so. You know, I'm just not, you know, my art's not about that. If my art was about that, I would always be doing fan art or something like that, but, and I would talk about, you know, popular, trendy things and things like that. I would draw Spider-Man and talk about Spider-Man. But that's not why I do art. It's not what I'm interested in. I mean, half the time I'm on stream, I'm talking about how I don't believe in free will and things like that. It's like just not, it's not about entertainment. Even the politics over on Twitch just seems like raw entertainment. It's just been reduced to gladiators in the arena with the throngs of the Vox Populi screaming for their chosen gladiator in the Colosseum. Hi, Joey. Joey. Thoughts on live service games? I don't even know what counts as a live service game. Just games that are constantly doing seasons and battle passes, like Fortnite, Marvel Rivals. Are those live service games? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be for me, but you know, the big benefit of a lot of those is that they're fucking free. And a lot of people really appreciate having free games to play, so for them it's great. Wouldn't be for me. But I'm kind of, you know, I haven't been playing a lot of games lately. I don't really have time. I don't really have time. I'm curious what Steven's YouTube homepage is like. It's blank. It is blank. I turn off my YouTube history so that my homepage is empty. I let myself watch YouTube, but I have to manually think. I have to manually think of who and what I want to watch and go to my blank YouTube homepage and type into the search bar there. All right, are we back? Sorry, my stream just completely dumped out. Weirdly, YouTube did not get angry. YouTube usually gets upset at the drop of a hat. YouTube did not register the stream dying at all. All right, I guess we're back. Don't know what that was about. Very bad weather here, and still on above ground cable lines, so. I forget what I was saying. I really do. Edwin Gonzalez says, hey, Steven, I recently watched the Michael Hampton video where he showed his recording of a lecture by John Watkiss teaching at Art Center. Did you also happen to take a class by him? I think John Watkis was not teaching there by the time I attended. I think that was before my time. I think Watkis's kinds of classes were by then mostly taken up by Will Weston. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not really sure of everything Watkis was teaching. In my head, I wasn't in the illustration department, I was in the entertainment department. So my knowledge is not spot on here, but from my distant viewpoint, it's mostly Will Weston and Bob Cotto covering the same ground that Watkis covered back when he taught at Art Center. Good Vibe says, anything you've been stumbling upon lately, a new hobby, someone inspiring you on something that you never found interest in before? Would love to hear. I have a new baby. I have a 5-month-old, so I have not been in an expansive period. I would say that I am dwindling, becoming very, very small, very small. Yeah, months of poor sleep are definitely affecting me. No. I don't have the energy to get excited about any new thing these days. All I want to do now is read. That's it. That's the only thing I care about. I just want to read. I'm sure I'll feel different once I get my energy back, but for now, I'm like, reading is the only good thing in the world. Everything else sucks. Thank you, Good Vibes. What are you reading? I'm always reading like 8 books at once. That's a curse I've had since I was a kid. Always. That's how I've never read one book at a time. I always read multiple books. What am I reading right now? The current cycle is I'm rereading The Passenger by Cormac McCarthy. I'm reading House of Leaves by Daniel Lusky. I'm reading a book called Amusing Ourselves to Death by, I forget his name. I'm blanking on his name. I'm reading Shadow of the Torture, the first book in the New Sun series by Gene Wolfe. And I'm very slowly reading Derek Parfit's Reasons and Persons. Those are the 5 books I'm reading right now. I read whichever one is in the room that I suddenly discover I have time to read in. Bick says I might draw along with the stream. Yeah. This stream ain't for watching. It's for drawing too. I'm just body mirroring or whatever. Whatever the ADHDs call me. Yes, amusing yourself to death is Neil Postman. Thank you. Thank you. Sia Lunit says, nicely done. Nicely done. It must have taken many years of practice to become this good. It did. It did. You know what? It really did. Hafu says, hi, Stephen. How's the little banker / accountant? He's doing great. He is doing great. You know, every day during tummy time, I show him the charts for the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow. I ask him to guess what's higher, the cost of particular historical events or the market capitalization of NVIDIA. You know, today I asked him, what do you think is higher, the total cost of the war in Vietnam or the market cap of NVIDIA? He didn't know. I said, guess. He said, Vietnam, more expensive. I said, wrong. Vietnam, adjusted for inflation and externalities, including externalities, estimated cost, $1.7 trillion. Market capitalization of NVIDIA, almost $5 trillion. And then he asked me, so that means that you don't think a war starting would crash the S&P 500 because the AI bubble is propping it up and it's much more, it's of a greater scale than wars tend to be. And I was like, that's right, my son. That's right. Now you've got it. Question, any real practical difference between a blending stump and a tortillon? Tortillon. Tortillon. No. No, no. No, 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 no. Let's get another piece of paper. I'm all out of room here. I'm all out of room. I'm so lost without you. Dude Avila says, stop drawing for 1 year. I want to grind hard in 2026. Any advice? Don't grind. If you're going to grind anything, grind projects, creative projects. Don't grind. You'll just burn out again in 2027 if you grind. Repeating question. Can you tell high quality graphite / charcoal paper just by touching it? No, usually not. You have to draw on it. But the most reliable way to tell if it's high quality is how much does it cost? Good quality paper should be at least $1 a sheet. That doesn't mean that its texture or its tooth is going to be to your liking, but you do get what you pay for with paper. If it's bound in a sketchbook, it might come out a little cheaper than that, but not by much. Like I think a Moleskine sketchbook has what, 60 pages? Somebody can look it up. I think it's 50 or 60 pages, and I think the going rate right now is like 45 USD for that, so a little less than $1. To use the Brewer method when drawing a scene without a horizon line. I don't know what the Brewer method would be in that context. I know Brewer grids, which are a way to shorthand distant vanishing points on a smaller piece of paper, and I've used those before, but I don't know what the Brewer method would be for scenes without horizon lines. Are you talking about if you're looking really far up or really far down and the horizon line is out of your cone of vision? If you're talking about Brewer grids, yeah, they're great. They're a handy little trick. These days I just freehand I'll either freehand my grid, because I've just drawn perspective enough that I'm pretty good at it now. I've got a good hand for freehanding my grids. Or I'll just actually make them. I'll just actually do a cone of vision, do a station point, pick my viewing angle. Find that process kind of relaxing, actually. And I like knowing that I actually know what's going on with the perspective, and that if I encounter any problems in the drawing, I can, usually the grid is digital, right? Even if I'm working traditional. I like knowing that if I encounter any problems, I can actually open up the digital file and there's the system, the real perspective system. And I can troubleshoot the problem in the digital file, transfer it to the traditional. Makes me feel confident. Vic says, what's the perspective grid system called that was mentioned again? I'll need to brush up on my perspective knowledge soon. Brewer grids are just a way to, well, I mentioned a few things there, but if you're talking about the Brewer grids, a guy named Brewer just came up with a way to, instead of actually drawing out your vanishing points all the way off the paper, which is usually where they need to be, he just cleverly, because it's geometry, you can technically reverse engineer anything if you have any one part, right? Because it's just math. He came up with a clever little system for getting a grid with acceptable vanishing point divergence working just on the small piece of paper. So it involves dropping a center, obviously you need a horizon line, but then you drop a center line, you like, it's been a year since I've done it, but like you equally divide the center line and then you create 2 other measure bars closer to the edges of the page, and then you equally divide those measure bars but shorter, and then you connect the points of the equal divisions, and then you get not perfect because it wouldn't actually be equal, but nothing in perspective is usually perfect, or it's all an illusion. It's not actually how we see the world, things like that. But it's good enough. It's good enough. It gives you reasonable, generally soft divergence to 2 vanishing points that are off the page. And for the most part, if you then need the vanishing points for real, if you need to reverse engineer your station point, do a 90-degree rotation, things like that, you can then follow the lines out off the page and get the vanishing points, and they'll be pretty reasonable. You can't quite know what cone of vision you're getting. You're just gonna be able to trust that it's pretty reasonable. But yeah, if you then go out and reverse engineer the rest of the perspective system, you can find out what cone of vision you have actually. Steve, what the hell is orthographic view and why am I supposed to use it in modeling software? We don't have to use it. Orthographic view just means that there's no perspective. That doesn't mean that you're looking at it totally flat necessarily. You can have isometric views, which are technically a form of orthographic, where 90-degree corners will be represented by perfect repeating 45 degrees. What orthographic really means, because you can actually see orthographic rotations, is that there is no convergence to vanishing points on a horizon line. But that's more detailed. The traditional 3 orthographic views are plan, elevation, and front. So plan is looking down on things like a blueprint. Elevation is seeing the side profile, like if you were just looking at your house front on, and there's no perspective. Things don't diverge. It's just, think like a blueprint. And the reason you would use it in modeling software is that perspective is deceptive, right? It is deceptive. It's an illusion. So, a lot of people just use orthographic for a lot of designing because you can make your choices of proportion and things like that in a very pure way. So you sort of use the orthographic view to make an almost platonic choice about a proportion. You can see a 3-to-1 ratio for real as 3-to-1 in an orthographic projection. And then you would then, as a next step, deal with how that actually looks in perspective, right? Because, you may be designing a house or something and say that these things are in a 3-to-1 proportion in the blueprint, but you never actually see things that way in reality, right? You always see everything in perspective. So the visual proportion is actually different. Dear Diane says, do you draw people in public? Yeah, I have. A lot. I use the train regularly and I'm fighting my urge to draw everyone, but I'm scared that it may show off as weird, disrespectful. I draw people on the train all the time. All the time. I still do it. And I used to do it a lot. Don't be afraid. Most people don't care. They're too busy looking at their fucking phone now anyway. Drawing on the train, this shows how old I am. When I used to draw on the train, no one had phones to be absorbed in, right? I did a lot of my train drawing pre-cell phones. So you got a variety of facial expressions, variety of facial angles. Now you draw on the subway, everyone, you're just getting the exact same pose from everybody. They're not being wistful. They're not lost in thought. They're certainly not striking up a conversation with anybody. Everybody's just on their goddamn phone. Yes, I live in New York. What the fuck? It's the middle of the night. I'm sure you guys couldn't hear that, but I just had a pigeon try to fly into this window. Maybe it's being chased by something. Birds are usually not active in the middle of the night. Maybe he had a nightmare. Maybe he was sleeping and he had a nightmare. Demon of Hell Anime Studio. Demon of Hell Anime Studio. Sorry, that name is funny. Some people say that artists or creatives are like a blessing, a magic on some individual. What are your thoughts on this? Is it magic or is it that individual just lucky with their environment? There's definitely magic in art, for sure. Or at least magic for all intents and purposes. I think the art urge is something older than we know. And we don't really know what it is. And I do think that it can do things stranger than most people suppose. I think that artists of this era have forgotten that they are shamans. So yay to magic, nay to boring. Yes, strange. Blessing? Might be a curse. I think it's kind of irrelevant how you label it. It's just the earth needs you to do this. You are the lucky human sacrifice. Johnny Pearson gives $10. Thank you so much, Johnny. You're the best, man. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny says, Steven, how's one of my sources of artistic reason and inspiration doing? You! LOL, I'm so close to buying an Alice in Wonderland video game art book that's like $350, just hovering over the purchase button. Ooh! And you're over here giving $10 to me? You flexing right now? Flexing right now? Johnny, I don't know. Could I pull the trigger on the $350 Alice in Wonderland art book? I don't think I could do it. You got art book buying balls of steel, my friend. You're over here buying pure, uncut, black market, Colombian coffee for babies. And hyper expensive, better be first edition art books. Let me ask you this. For $350, how valuable of a original printing of Alice in Wonderland could you get? Compare that to the video game art book. One might be a better investment than the other. A25 says, do you think often well-meaning attempts to demystify the arts to make them less intimidating has caused harm? Absolutely. Absolutely. It does good too, but it also does harm. You know, the demystifying of art, you know, I think that we have to remember that's a teacher's gambit, you know, and sometimes teachers don't follow up, and that's a problem. You know, our art education has become far too atomized, so most art teachers can't follow through anymore. They just cross paths with a student for a very brief period of time. And so they demystify, and then they never get to follow up with, haha, wasn't that a great way for me to trick you into calming down and to pull you in? And isn't it amazing to find out that this is actually the most fucked up thing in all of existence, and God is hiding here? Crazy, right? It's like you need to get to the other. You do need to get to the other side, or else you do harm to art. Got any tips for picking a good quality photo video camera? Not for photos. For video, I don't know. I like the Lumixes. I have the GH5, good for video. People say like the Sony A7 III and stuff like that are, the Sony A line is superior, is like top of the line. I don't know. It depends on your budget, the particular use case you have. A lot of great prosumer cameras out there now, but I only know the video side. For taking photos, because they don't tend to be the same camera. Good video cameras don't tend to be good photo cameras. I have no idea. Paris says, hey Steven, I was wondering if you've ever heard of Jake Don't Draw and his controversy with the ARC Foundation. I have heard of Jake Don't Draw. I've heard of ARC, but I'm not sure I know the controversy there. I have a vague thing in my head of the ARC picking a AI something piece to win some competition. Is that what we're talking about? I have a vague memory of that. That would have been a long time ago though, I think. I have to admit I never liked the art renewal.
center. From the first day I read their website, years and years ago, I mean, probably going on over 15 years ago now. From the first day I read their website, I was like, these people are cringe as fuck. It's like, yes, Bouguereau's good, but calm down. Lukey Dookie. God is hiding here. Explain more. Jacobo Emiliano says, I would love to explain the God is hiding here thing. Yeah, well. You know, certain things are kept in the esoterica for a reason. If I just explained it right now, you wouldn't get it, you know. The ground has not been made fertile. There's a reason the high mysteries across all the traditions, across all of history, across all cultures, and across all of their instantiations, of which all the major institutions have always had at least one. There's a reason that there are rites and rituals and preparatory practices. You cannot just give it like that, and you do the aspiring mystic a disservice by just trying to hand it off like that. We've all tried. Every passionate teacher has tried, and then you learn why you don't do that. The voice of the devil says, so what? Layla says, Stephen, I'm drawing a tree. How does one render leaves? Group them. Don't draw individual leaves. Group them. or if you're going to draw individual leaves, group them first and then draw individual leaves. Is your design fundamentals course good for a traditional sculptor? The sections on the elements of art and the principles of design, I think would be good for even non-artists. I genuinely think they're just broadly applicable for anyone whose eyes work. But it would be difficult for me to say the course is good for a traditional sculptor because you couldn't do the assignments. You couldn't do the assignments, not really. At least you'd have to be open to doing a whole fuck ton of drawing and sculpting maybe one thing if you wanted to do the assignments. So I guess in the end, I'd say no. If you were just going to do the course, you are a sculptor, but you also draw, you're just going to draw through the course, and then you're hoping that the knowledge will transfer to your sculptures, I think it certainly would. QB says, I'm a bit on the other side of the fence with demystifying art. I feel that many times as artists, we get so lost in our sauce that we forget to be grounded in our action. It's a balance. Everything in this life is a balance, but I think unfortunately in the current world, the balance is much more skewed to no magic, dry. I think it has really hurt artists. I think that's why so many people's practices have become very small and boring and kind of miserly and not generous to the world and to audiences and to viewers. It's like we took away all the best motivations for making art, like meeting God, for example. Basically all that's left for people is clout. I want to be able to say I worked for Blizzard or whatever, any company, right? Basically all that's left for people is clout, money, which is hysterically stupid, and I guess that's it. QB says, God is hiding in the art and he better come out because I'm getting impatient. Aren't we all? Jacobo Emiliano says, can one find God through exploration, creation, and self-discovery? When you say that God is hiding in art, it heavily reminded me of the Gospel of Thomas, aka Gnostic scripture. I don't know. I do know. Keep searching. Go, 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 go. You query the art and it will guide you. Just believe me when I say that as an artist, you're on the best of paths. I really think it's the best one. I have my reasons. You are in excellent hands. And you don't need me or anyone else to give you the answers. Just ask the art. Just ask the art. Boy Gone Gamer has got the GH5. What camera lens do you use? I have the kit lens on mine, the one that they sell with it. It's the Leica DG Vario El Marit. Again, that's the Leica DG Vario El Marit, and it's 12 to 60 millimeter. It's the kit lens that they sold standard with the camera. I don't have any other lenses. Thank God. Thank God I never went down that money hole. Buying camera lenses, damn. I've come close. I've been gripped by madness before. I've been on bnh.com telling myself, if I put a prime lens on this motherfucker, my drawings will be better. There before the grace of God go I. Mind you, not that my drawings would look better. My drawings would be better. Juan says, how are you, Steven? I'm good. I'm tired. I've learned that I'm lazy. And that to be amazing at drawing, sometimes you have to force yourself to finish. I don't do it despite it being the mature thing to do. Being lazy is a problem. It's a problem in art. It's a problem in a lot of things, but it's a really bad problem with art. And it is hard to force yourself to do anything. Because the agent that is going to do the forcing is the same illusory agent that isn't going to do it. So you're in a real lockup. That's why I always advise, instead of finding ways to improve how you force yourself to do things, find ways to make art more and more fun and addictive so that you don't have to force yourself. That's a different path for everybody, but I think that's usually the way to go. Fripsite says, casual question, did you ever feel like a walking contradiction by knowing you can't escape suffering yet still try to reduce the vexations that come from experiencing life as a sentient being? I think Marcus Aurelius said to be vexed by anything that happens is a sort of secession from nature. And I think that just about sums it up. Demon of Hell Anime Studio says, do you have a perception of what an artist is? Some people just say it's people who draw, but out of things you said, it seems like your perception of an artist is someone that is philosophical. I mean, my favorite description is the one-word description of, I forget the author's name, but he wrote a famous art history book called The Story of Art. And it's the first sentence in the book. You can close the book after. It has all of art history in it, but you can close the book after the first sentence. It's just, there is no such thing as art. There are only artists. So if that is true, and in all of the years that have gone by since I read it, just strikes me as truer and truer and truer. Art will always, there's just artists. And art is always going to be what artists think it is. So if I don't think something is art, it doesn't make a lick of difference to another artist who does think it's art. And as upsetting as that is, because we all have minds that want neat conclusions, the more and more I think about it, that's the end. That's the truth. That's the whole discussion. And everything after that is the explication of personal prejudice. It's that simple. It's that simple. Russell Parker gives $5. Thank you so much, Russell. I appreciate it. Another bottle of pure, uncut, black market, smuggled Colombian coffee for my baby boy. Served piping hot in his bottle. No milk, no cream, black. Are you familiar with Austin Osman Spare, surrealist automatic drawing artist, early 19th century? Your philosophy is very similar, I feel. Thanks. So many artists, it's like I'm terrible with names. I don't know the name, and then I look at the art and I know them. So let's see. No, I think this is a new one on me. No, I don't think I knew this guy's art. Looks cool. Oh, he's very witchy, I can tell from the photos of him. I will bookmark and come back to it, look into his philosophy a bit. Everything after that is marketing? You bet. Steven, do you think if all the tech bros sat down and learned to draw and create, would it cure at least some of their madness? I think it's wrong to think that they are interested in that. I mean, the diffusion model of text to image generation, it did not come from seeking art. It was another ball that we pulled out of the urn of technology. It was just the next, it was the next differential equation that we solved. And we said, oh, if that's true, that means you could do this. And it just came from the math and science guys. It's got nothing to do with art. So the people who picked it up and ran with it are just business development people and venture capitalists and entrepreneurs. And it's patently clear that they put a artistic veneer over it because that's part of the brand. That's how they're marketing what is math. It's just math, right? So it's just coming from a completely different place. If by tech bros you mean the users who want to use it to make images, even there, I just feel like, so many people who I see using AI they have no artistic impulse. They're just trying to make a funny picture most of the time. They're trying to make a goofy fucking thing. They have no interest in making art, So I just don't see them having interest in drawing. And if we pretend that the way to get through this is by making them pick up a pencil and draw, we're going to lose this fight. QB Boy says, Steven, you are a real one for not liking AI art and defending the human spirit behind art. Pfft. Too real sometimes, I think. Something in my heart tells me that I will only be tested more than I have been tested. And that things will just get harder and harder. It scares me. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest. It scares me. It scares me. I don't know. It scares me. It scares me what I'm like. What I'm willing to. It scares me how far I'm willing to go, to not use AI and to hate AI. When I'm really honest with myself, but you know, if I won't talk about it in specifics, but if I think about the possible tests and I think about how I would react, a lot of them I mean, I'm sure you guys would think it's cool, but like in the reality of being a living person with stakes, it's like not cool that I would do that. Scared. Arion wants advice for inking. It always ends up too dark. I don't know. I feel like if you're inking, you gotta lean into the darkness. I think for most people's MO when they're inking is to leave the light basically completely open. Touch it as little as possible. And only ink the shadows. So you need to have a very, very confident assessment in your mind of what is light and what is shadow. And the light, just leave it alone. Because you just don't have the value range that you do in like pencil to do low contrast work in the light, you know? You've only got one contrast level. Well, not actually, you know, if you get into hatching and tricky stuff like that, you can modulate hatching. And there's some people who manage to do a lot of work in the light and still make it look good, like Joseph Clement Cole and stuff like that. But you got to be quite tricky about it. I think the general move is just leave the light wide open. If you leave the light wide open, I think you'll definitely find that it's not getting too dark, you know? As long as there's a decent ratio of light, of course. Of course. Dante Lobalanco says, Stephen, are you familiar with Terence McKenna? Yes, and his transcendental object at the end of time idea. I know about the transcendental object at the end of time, but from the lectures I've heard, I never heard a I never heard like a real direct description of what that was supposed to be, you know. To me, it sounds like his placeholder for God, which I get that. We've all got that, but if he had a more specific description, I've never heard it. When I've heard him talk about it, he's always just kind of enigmatically alluding to it. Yeah, Clement Cole's work is insane. Anna Rude says, I was watching a video last night that only 20% of 8th graders can properly read and write because they feel AI can do it for them. Humanity is so done. I mean, if that's true, surely we're cooked. I'm depressed, dog. I mean, what do you want to hear? I mean, I'll just be straight up. It depresses me. I'm depressed. All the AI stuff depresses me. The thing is, I don't know if that stuff is true. You know, is that just numbers that people are throwing out? Are those numbers AI slop or something like that? But if the studies that say stuff like that turned out to be real, I find it so depressing. And we will just totally, I think, totally crumble into a culture of raw entertainment. All we'll care about anymore is just being perpetually entertained. And I don't think that's good. I think entertainment is actually a relatively new invention. And I think that we're approaching the infinitum ad absurdum of it. And I think that we're probably going to realize it was not just a good thing on its own, just for its own sake, you know? I think we'll realize we needed to be really, we really needed to moderate our entertainment budget, our entertainment diet. Very nice render on the chest, thank you. Just goofing around with the normal stuff. Get back to the swing of things. Get the old hand back. It's fucking cold in here. Keep wanting to take my hat off. It's a little uncomfy on my head, but I take it off and then I remember shit is cold. Damn beanie reload. Gotta reload. I gotta get a space heater up here. I keep meaning to dig one out of the garage and bring it up, but just keep forgetting. Are you doing okay, Steven? I know we're hitting with some depressing things in your few precious moments of peaceful drawing. No. If I need truly peaceful drawing, I don't do it on stream. If I'm on stream, it's because I'm open to whatever people are bringing. That's why I'm on stream. But also, I don't know. I find these thoughts most depressing when they're just locked in my head with me. Like, I find it much more even-keeled and much nicer to talk about it with people. I find that much less depressing. Saying it to you guys, saying we're cooked, phenomenologically feels much less depressed and anxious than when I'm thinking we're cooked on my own in this room. How soft is the lead in your pencil? This one's very soft, and this one's standard HB lead in this pencil. I do find it all very depressing, though. I won't lie to you guys. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be a cool dude. I am not. Find all the AI stuff very depressing. But I'm sure no one's surprised to know that I genuinely care about that. You know, there's days I think things are looking better and I feel good about it. And then there's days where I see a hard-working, really good artist getting, 100 likes on Instagram for a really awesome piece, and then an AI slop cat video with not just 8 million views, but 8 million likes. Or, brain rot literally changing culture and, being important to people and people making video games about the brain rots and stuff like that. I'm just like, yeah, we got to figure this thing out. We got to figure this thing out. I'm team human, I think that we should have I think it's right to have a human bias on something like art. I really do. I hope that very soon we figure out that we should be suppressing AI in the algorithm. There's been some lip service to that, but if you actually poke around, you can see that we're definitely not suppressing it. It's thriving. Anna Root is making traditional paintings. Good. Good. That's the way to go. What do you think about the Pinterest AI filter change, though? That's good news. I mean, it's just for stuff that's self-tagged as AI. It's not going to matter until they it's not going to matter until they get reliable detection. Because the people posting AI stuff, they were only self-tagging while it didn't mean anything. You know, while it was just a way to stay on the right side of the rules. Because there was no filter. Now that there's a filter, and the AI people who are posting see that their views are going down and their attention is going down, they're going to be like, I'm just going to not self-report that it's AI. Because no one can, they can't prove it. You know, we can't. So, not in an actionable broad way, so. Stephen, what is your advice for artists that want to make high art that changes the world? I mean, come back and teach the rest of us when you figure it out. That's my advice. In all seriousness, though, like, I think that that's a good aspiration. And I think the world should help you. And I think that in the future, we will look back on this era where artists were obsessed with entertaining each other and their audiences, which, remember, I went to school for entertainment. I went to school for entertainment design. That was my major in college, so I've got skin in the game, right? But I think if things go well, we will look back on the pervasive obsession with entertainment that artists have these days, and it'll be a bad look. I think it'll be an ugly look. So if you want to make high art that changes the world, I think get out ahead of things and leave entertaining others behind and focus on challenging others. What to challenge them on, that's going to come down to your personal experience. So live your life. Try to really live. Be connected, be thoughtful. Lead an examined life. Whatever you do, don't be boring. If you're boring, you're fucked. Completely fucked. Don't be boring. The anti-AI filter, the anti-AI filter, that is really hard to say. The anti-AI filter is hiding real art that the bots tag as AI. If that's true, that sucks. That really sucks. That makes a lot of sense to me, and that sucks. Goodbye, Yankee. Yankee. What's the best ratio between doing art for fun and deliberately practicing to get better? The ideal ratio is 100 to 0. 1 to 0. 100% to 0%. The problem is that most people find that incredibly difficult to maintain. Surprisingly difficult to make sure that you're always having fun. But yeah, if you could, which almost nobody can, 1 to 0 would be ideal. So you just try to get as close to that as you can. Because even 50-50 is almost impossible for most people to maintain. Most people need to backslide into studying and practice because it soothes their insecurities and their lack of direction, their lack of focus, their inability to put themselves on their own path. The irony is, these days, if you want to challenge someone, you need to keep it entertaining. Yeah. And that's a devastating irony. That's not good. I don't know how we get out of this one, boys. We're in a situation where the medicine might make the sickness worse, you know? And we need to hope that the fever breaks. What's wrong with entertaining? Nothing. There's nothing in and of itself wrong with entertaining. The problem is that in the current era, the ratios are completely off. You know, it's... Sorry, my chat died. Not the stream. Just YouTube panicked. What was I saying? It's just that the ratios are completely off. It's... These days, it's basically all entertainment to nothing challenging, you know? And that's not good. That's not good. Anirudh says, Stephen, I've been having a thought for a long time that musicians actually kept the making real art part alive while also making it entertaining, putting all of themselves, feelings, and thoughts in it. Well, a good musician. I'm not that into music, so like not knowledgeable on it. I wonder how other musicians would feel about that statement. Their songs, they did not let their art become small and that communicated with the people. While us visual artists just made light of our own art, like we stopped caring, so the world also stopped. Well, I agree with what you said about visual artists, but I think some parts of music did do that as well. I think there's just, you may be thinking of the best music, right? But then you could turn the same lens on art. You could say that the best art doesn't have that problem. So, I'm speaking out of my depth here. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough about music to make a good statement about this. If my friend Stephen Green was on with me right now, I'd pass this off to him. He could probably speak a lot to it. Leaf says, but in general, people are not going to endure in a challenge if it is not entertaining. Enduring in a challenge can be entertaining in a different way. It's engaging, but the kind of engaging that a challenge is and that real entertainment are different. And most entertainment is not challenging. It's not compelling. And the idea that a challenge needs to be entertaining for someone to get through it is an utterly modern product. That's another thing that needs to be understood. That is just not how things have been for most of history. That is a very modern product. How to put this lightly? Culture turned us all into massive pussies, and it seems almost irreversible now. Damn shame. That. Damn shame. M. Creeper gives $10. Thank you so much, M. Creeper, for more pure, uncut, black market, smuggled, Colombian coffee. I accidentally ate my neighbor's baby again. Now I have a lawsuit. Try not to do that if you can. Seriously, try not to do that. Really try not to do that. Leave your neighbor's baby undisturbed. Please, do it for me. Do it for me. Leave them undisturbed. Thank you for the donation. If you had to shrink your ears to change one thing in the world, what would it be? I don't think I could give up my ears for anything. I really don't. Even if I could stop AI in its tracks, it'd be very hard for me to give up my ears. Leaf says, I see what you mean by engaging, but maybe we're quibbling with semantics? I don't think so. I mean, there's a real... if you cannot detect the difference between the kind of entertaining that if you can't detect the difference between the kind of entertaining that the challenge of putting together a complicated drawing is versus a Netflix show that was literally designed from the start to be second screened while you doom scroll on your phone, if you cannot detect the difference between those two forms of entertainment, I think that is that's very sad and diagnostic of a benighted era. I don't think that's semantics. I really don't. And I think, and if culture has made you feel like it must be semantics, that is a disservice and indeed an evil that culture has done to you, in my opinion. Isn't it completely understandable why people want to numb themselves? Life is way too hard and depressing and shit. That is not most people's fault. But that does not justify the overabundance of raw entertainment. It just doesn't, indeed, it's like, I think it's contributing to how hard and depressing life is, that we have converted all things into entertainment, That's only making things worse. I mean, how many people now believe their education is supposed to be entertaining? It's like that's becoming a cultural norm, you know? Is it? Is education supposed to be entertaining? Is that an apt burden to put on education? Learning is supposed to be fun, though. Look, no one who's been around here can rightly accuse me of wanting learning something like art to be boring, right? I think this is probably the kind of thing I shouldn't be talking about without being writing about it. Like I should be writing about it. I should be on script, not speaking extemporaneously. Spend 100% of time on project images. Again, if you could, I think that would be healthy for most artists. First off, your project should always be incredibly compelling to you. You should be deeply, deeply interested in your project, right? Most people cannot summon deep interest in their studies, right? And that damages the practice. I mean, as soon as you're doing things by rote, you're hurting the practice. You're building habits that are going to be very difficult to deprogram later. You should always have a project in the wings. You should always do the creative work to make the project exciting and inspiring to you. And as much as possible, work on the project. Now, I say 100% is the ideal, because it is for most people an unachievable ideal. Some people, rare artists, are able to just be on project all the time. And that has its own drawbacks, it's true, but they're the better problems to have than the problem that most artists have, which is locking themselves in an endless loop of soul-crushingly irrelevant studying, which in the extreme, when done for protracted periods of time without ever checking in with the creative heart that emerges in projects, can result in, I'm not kidding when I say this, years of learning shit that you're never gonna use and that you don't actually care about. And I promise you, you don't have that kind of time. You don't. You don't. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate the $2. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Why Elvis? I don't know. It's late. I got nothing for you. Can't explain why Elvis. We all love that old-timey crooner vibe, don't we? I guess he doesn't count as a crooner. Honorud says, Steven, I cannot stress how much this advice of yours has helped me. Been on my indie game project for almost 3 years now. Every time I start feeling unmotivated, I say to myself, time to make it interesting again, boy. Baby, you got it. Baby, you got it. Good morning, Daryl. Tuo says, I would love to hear more about the should education be entertaining? Yeah, there's just so much to be said. I think it's a big conversation. Too big, probably, for this context. I think if you can still read a whole book that you know you want to read but is making no concessions to you, it's like, if you can still read a hard read, I think you're all right. I think you're doing all right. But I feel like the more I talk to people these days, it's like, there's surprisingly few people now who can read a hard read, you know? Med, how you doing, man? Oh man, you got to be careful about popping into my podcast because there's always people in here who are trying to figure out where you are. I think every time you pop in, you encourage them again. What's this playlist name? This is, it should be the soundtrack to Divinity Original Sin 2. But we got through the whole thing and a song from Morrowind was playing, and I'm gonna stop that because I don't know how good the Morrowind soundtrack is for streaming. I don't know if it gets strikes. The Divinity soundtrack doesn't get strikes, so I play it all the time. Not strikes, but you know, content IDs. I guess it being entertaining takes away from the whole point, which was to learn and not be there to just consume. I mean, so it's like, I don't know if it takes away from the whole point. I'm saying that if there's good ideas in the world, does it sound healthy for the only good ideas that people are really going to engage with are the good ideas that also happen to come from entertaining people? Because there's a lot of really not entertaining people with really good fucking ideas. And I think that we're in a point in our culture where I think even a lot of people just hearing that will be like, but are their ideas really that good if they're not entertaining? And it's like, yes. The fact that you think that's not possible is a modern cultural product. And I think is probably not good for us, you know? I think you gotta be able to get through the hard read, man. Ahmed says, to be honest, I was hoping everyone forgot about me by now. I'll never be truly incognito. No, I don't think so. I mean, not with your fans. I mean, I think you made good enough art that your fans are never going to really forget you. So you'll always have to at least contend with them. A25 says, I really should have asked this before since I've heard him mentioned in other streams, but who is Ahmed? I guess he's here, so I won't answer that. Have you been, man? How's being a dad, man? I love it. I'm very tired. I haven't slept right in 5 months, but being a dad is the best. Really, you know, it turns out little babies are the best. They are great. Steven, do you know any advice for drawing comics? No. Can't say I do. Not for real. I've only dabbled. I wouldn't say I've engaged with it enough to have a tip. I'd be talking out of my ass. I'll get my bud Stephen Green on here at some point, and he'll answer your comic questions. York. Don't you think that also the scope of what people find entertaining has shrunk dramatically? See, I actually think it's increased, or at least our demands for. It's like we want everything to be fucking entertaining now. Everything. I think the scope has increased. I think that there was probably a time not so long ago where the idea that politics could be entertaining would have been gross, like grotesque, like truly an antic grotesque, something like that. And now that's like a given. Now it's like, you're not gonna be president unless you've got some fucking pizzazz, brother. That wasn't a thing. It really wasn't a thing. You know, I mean, Jesus Christ, there was a time that you voted for people based on articles they would write because you couldn't go see them, or you'd have to travel across the country to go see them and hear them talk, and you give them giving a speech that they wrote or something like that. It's like, we think our politics are supposed to be entertaining. We think our education is supposed to be entertaining. I think it's more invidious than that, even. I think to some extent, and this is, you know, careful usage of the word, like we're starting to think that our relationships are supposed to be entertaining. I think I sense that. I think that we have this feeling that what we're supposed to get from our friendships and our romantic relationships and our interfamilial relationships is this numb, vaguely gelatinous, gooey purple neutrality entertainment from our relationships. Just kind of, oh. And as soon as we feel challenged, forget wanting challenge from your relationships. People go running for the hills. You go screaming. I don't think that's good. So I actually think that the scope of what we want to be entertainment, what we want to be is only getting wider. And it's getting narrowed in the sense that we want it to be but it's consuming everything. You know? And I can't, I don't see how that could possibly be good. It says, do you mean the range of our tolerance for boredom? I think it's boredom tolerance. But I think that's only a part of it. I think it's broader than that. I think certainly our tolerance for boredom has to be, it's got to be at historic lows right now. But I don't know. I think the problem with the all-pervasiveness of the entertainment drive is bigger than that, a bigger problem than that. I think it contains that, but there's more to it. Drax says, hi, seem familiar with the work of Ricardo Federici. Federici, do you like his style? Yes. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of his work. He's awesome. Hold on, just checking that I'm thinking of the right artist. I was, yeah. Yeah, he makes cool stuff. I got his, I was worried that I was confusing him with, there's an Italian oil painter who does like a lot of old mastery style, like anatomical work. Sometimes he like transforms it and stuff like that though. He's also got an Italian name. What's his name? Someone will know who I'm talking about. He's very popular. Is his last name Federici too? Is that what I'm thinking of it? Damn, who am I thinking of? The new terrain says, have you ever played a game called Disco Elysium? It changed the way I view entertainment in video games, especially because I had never played a narrative-driven video game before. I have played it. I didn't finish it. I can't finish any video game anymore. I don't really have time to play them. The ones that really interest me, I'll buy them and play them a bit just to get the vibe, and then I have to put them down, basically. Disco Elysium was cool, though. The little bit that I played was cool. Can you sing the chorus of Message Retracted? All right, no singing. Said Demon of Hell. Something about doing the chorus of my favorite song. And then they deleted it. The way I'd put it is people want engagement without working for it. Speaking from experience working in a metal fab shop, it's a hard job, but damn is it fun, I bet. Yeah, and someone else said, I guess I see entertainment from a perspective of how much a concept or topic can engage you, not if it's necessarily amusing. I could be entertained by hard topics, or I might be using the word wrong. I am too. I consider myself thoroughly entertained by hard topics, but it's definitely for me a different kind of entertainment, you know? But yeah, that's why I said earlier, I don't think this is the type of thing we should be talking about on stream, because it is a philosophical discussion, and I believe in a philosophical discussion, you got to do definition of terms right up front. And in stream, new people are always coming in and out. You can't really do a definition of terms that lasts. So I just don't think this is the kind of conversation that holds up in a stream. Because yeah, this particular discussion up front, you need to define terms. What is amusement? What is entertainment? What is being engaged? What is something is compelling versus entertaining? Things like that. Can you sing the chorus of your favorite song right here? As I say with so many things, I don't have favorites. I'm really not good with favorites. I don't really feel like I don't keep favorites. I couldn't say what my favorite song is, what my favorite artist is, what my favorite author is. Maybe author. It's probably Cormac McCarthy. But beyond that, yeah, I'm just not good with favorites. It just makes me think of what do I like lately? That's all it makes me think. So if we do that, can you sing the chorus of your favorite song right here? The chorus. What's the fucking chorus? I just gotta sing the song. So you're on the prowl, wondering whether she left already or not. Leather jacket, collar pop like antenna, never knowing when to stop. Sunglasses indoors, par for the course, light in the floor and sweat on the walls. Cages and poles. Call off the search for your soul or put it on hold again. She's having a sly indoor smoke, and she calls the folks who run this her oldest friends, sipping and drinking, laughing at imaginary jokes. As all the signals are sent, her eyes invite you to approach, and it seems as though those lumps in your throat that you've just swallowed have got you going. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Number one party anthem. Not really in my register, but that's the song that's stuck in my head lately. Oh, and now it's really stuck in my head. Now I just want to keep looping it. Then can you do the dance? The dance, my favorite song. I don't think there's a dance to number one party anthem. It would probably given the theme of the song, it would probably be me shaking my shit. It would probably be me twerking. Sliding up and down that pole. Slinging it. Just slinging it. Is that a foothead? Sure. Sure. Steven, can I request you sing Like a Stone? It's been so long since we heard you sing it. I would, but it's a little too late for that. Number one party anthem, I can sing that quiet. Like a Stone, you gotta put some drive in it. I'd have to go louder, and it's a little loud for that with a baby in the house right now. Next time we do a regular daytime stream, I'll do it for you. Remind me. It's getting late. Blue says, just finished The Road the other day. I didn't know there was a movie made from the book. Should I skip the movie or give it a watch? I thought the movie was pretty good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I thought the movie was pretty good. I'm not sure if he did it with The Road, but McCarthy was very much in the habit of helping with the scripts, or at least giving direction and pointers on the movie adaptations. So he probably helped with The Road. You know, I remember the movie being very good. Yeah, we should have Ahmed sing Chris Cornell. Steven's multi-talented as fuck, says Med. So's Med. Med can sing. Med plays instruments. I can't play any instruments. Med's got a lot of talents. Yuri says, Steven, how to manage the ego when sharing one's own art, especially when the art practice is more private and not for making a living, and how to manage that sharing motivation. Thanks. I think that culture currently makes you think that there's one way to share, and that's to share on the platforms. And I would encourage you to open your heart to the possibility that you can share any which way and make it gratifying. So don't start from the assumption that you need to, or that it's wise to share your art on social media. There's a lot of things that come with that, a lot of implications, especially if you're not doing it to make a living. Like, consider all the possibilities and try different things. Consider that maybe for you, the right thing to do is to share to no one. You don't have to, right? You said there's a sharing motivation, so let's assume that's not it, right? You do want to share, but is it possible that you should only share to your family? Is it possible that you should only share to your friends? Ahmed says, hey man, hopping off. Good to see you and your art. Bye, Med. Good to talk to you, man. Let's chat soon. Have a good night. You know, maybe it's a closed group of peers, right? Other artists that you like to share with and draw with and things like that. Maybe those are the only people that you share your art with. I think that for a lot of people in the current era, having that kind of real intimate sharing practice would probably be healthier than sharing on social media. So I would encourage people to open their heart and their mind to that being the way to go for them. It's like, if you're going to do it for a living, that kind of puts other constraints on it. It means it's more and more likely you're going to have to share on social media, but it's kind of a blessing to not have that yoke on you. I think there's better ways. I think in many senses, the important future of art is going to be much more local. I think that makes sense. I've tried to think about how that will happen, and I have no idea. I just see that answers a lot of the spiritual needs of the current spiritual deprivation in art. But it's a real paradox, you know, because in the current era, sort of being a local artist is guaranteed to make you irrelevant, like on a broader scale, and relevance on a broader scale is where you can make a living. But then being relevant on a broader scale and making a living these days seems to also basically assure that you lose your potency. You just become a tool of culture. That's my assessment, so it's very paradoxical. It's a lockup. I think someone smarter than me is going to have to figure it out. But I think we're going to have to change things, for sure. Local artists like murals and local commissions? Maybe. Honestly, I think it's going to have to be a pretty new mode of being. I think local is more a mindset rather than a prescription of things to do like that. Because I think that the things that the local artist of the future is going to do are things we couldn't guess. You know, I think it's going to be new stuff. Currently sharing some of my drawings with a life drawing group I'm part of, and I really have found that sharing with fellow artists is a valuable experience. It feels like a safe space that also encourages growth. I mean, it's the way to go. Really. Stick to stuff like that as long as you can. Fuck social media. It'll make you crazy. We were not made to compare our art to all the art in the world. We just weren't. I think it's making us worse artists, actually. We hoped early on that it would make us better. I don't think so. I think for the most part, making art global, making it so that all artists had to compare their work to all the other art in the world, basically made us sort of, I think it ruined our resilience. I think it wore us all down very quickly. And now we're all very scared and servile. And we've surely, you know, even on the most prosaic things like skill level, I mean, we don't have a modicum of the skill that just one or two generations of artists behind us had. And it's not that the knowledge for those skills isn't around, but no one has the heart to learn those things anymore. And they, not just the heart, they don't have the heart or the incentives, you know. Yeah, I think, again, there's always outliers, right? But I think in general, sharing our art with the whole world in a very global and non-local way wound up, yeah, making us weaker. I think a lot of people think the main benefit there was just like a grandiloquent scale of competition. It turns out that the human mind is not made to handle that level of competition. It's made to handle a much smaller scale of competition in a healthy way. I never understand what NMOOgtist is saying, ever. I always have to have people decipher it for me in chat. I think they're just very much, I don't know, younger or something. Out of nowhere, NMOOgtist says, LOL smarter than Steven. Now, I know I can't understand that because no one could reasonably claim they're smarter than me. It's obvious, especially here on my stream, that I'm the smartest person in this room. So that lets me know that I really don't understand that message. And then Namagta says, go easy on them like a Walmart t-shirt. And I haven't the faintest. So if chat could translate it for me as they've done before, that would be great. Because if there's any kind of cogent statement to be deciphered from that, I would love to not leave it hanging. Denzil says, Steven, do you think we have lost the battle over GenAI? I find it so depressing. I talked about it a bunch earlier in the stream. I don't think we've lost the battle. I mean, the battle is ongoing, and no one can really know how things are going to shake out. It's unsatisfying, of course, to say that, because we all always want to make predictions, right? That's how the human brain works. But I do think, after a lot of thought, I do believe that making predictions on this one is a fool's errand, is stupid. And I will say that I also find it depressing. So you're not alone. We're in it together, baby. I also find it depressing. Demon says, which do you prefer? Light hatching put close together or hard lines spread further to make the same value? I prefer light hatching put close together. That's my preference. I think that just comes from, that's something that you can do with pencil, and pencil does it better than anything else, I think. And I sure do love my pencils. But that's the way to go for me. The other one is much more how you get things done in ink, you know? And I like ink too, but I'm definitely pencil first. Currently watching this while my nephew shows me his toys. Hey, focus more on the toys than on me. Those are probably really cool toys, and they mean a lot to him. Tell your nephew that I think his toys are awesome. No shit. All right, it's 4 minutes to midnight. I mean, that's my bedtime. I got caught off guard here, so I'll sit here for a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off and go conk out. You just gave me a demo derby from Hot Wheels Monster Trucks. Don't you dare doubt my ability to pay attention to my nephew. I'll never doubt it again. G-Pro said, Tim Sweeney in an interview said that AI art is decent for making individual images, but it can't maintain a consistent art direction, so it's not suitable for replacing actual artists. I wish I could just hear stuff like that and be like, oh, cool, we're good. But it's literally just, yeah, I hate to sound like a bummer, but it's just, until it can, You know, there's nothing about that particular problem that sounds unsolvable to me. I mean, when they were first doing video AI, some people were saying, oh, they'll never get temporal stability right. It'll always look jittery. They solved it. AI videos are, for the most part, they really can achieve temporal stability frame to frame. It's like, they'll find a way to make consistent art direction. I mean, Jesus, big companies like Viscom and stuff like that are working hard on making it achieve art direction, and you can feed it something to anchor the art direction and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I wish stuff like that was a consolation to me, but from everything that I've seen and from my understanding of the technology, there's other things that I feel like maybe from my understanding of the tech, AI will never be able to do, but that, I don't know. I mean, just strikes me as they can definitely figure that out. I thought AI could threaten design as a job back in 2015 from my initial explorations of like checking out like Google DeepMind and the adversarial AI models that was, you know, before diffusion was discovered. It's like, we're going to need more robust defenses than hoping that we can dream up, you know, sentences like that, you know, like, well, I basically what amounts to, well, I hope it can't do this. It's like, that's not the way out. With the whole AI thing, I just decided I'm going to keep doing my own stuff. Good. I can't control the world, but I can control myself. I want to draw. I want to make my projects come true. AI be damned. Excellent. Good. Wonderful. Beautiful. Michael says, first time watching the stream. Oh, that's great. Welcome. Sorry if you talk about this already, but what paper are you drawing on? This is my favorite paper, Strathmore 400 series bristle paper smooth, which I recommend all the time. Again, that's Strathmore. Bristle paper, the 400 series, which is one step up from the 300 series. And it's the smooth surface, not the vellum surface. Bristle is B-R-I-S-T-O-L. What you'd say AI will never be able to do? There's a few things on that list based on my current understanding of the technology and stuff like that. It would be too much to go into when I literally need to get off right now. I'll just say a random one. I think logic might actually be unsolvable for it. Like it would be, I'd have to explain what, like, we'd need examples of like, what are the logical mistakes that AI videos and images tend to make, right? Like putting the left foot into the right shoe and things like that. I think that things like that might always be a problem. It's possible that can't be solved because the model is not reinforced for logic. It's, you know, reinforced for, I don't even know how to put it, like just goal achievement or something like that. You know, the models that people engage with are not even, people don't understand that they're already engaging with them fine-tuned, right? It's like, an example, people think the ChatGPT that they engage with when they go to chatgpt.com or fucking, I don't even know where you go, chatgpt.com or whatever, they think that is raw ChatGPT. That's the model. It's like, no, actually ChatGPT, when it was trained, whatever version 3, 4, whatever fucking one you're using, you're not getting what came out when it was trained. They had to fine tune it after that. And one of the things that they needed to fine tune it to do was to even give you an answer in the first place. Because since it's trained off of the internet, it's actually much more inclined when you ask it a question to just tell you to go fucking Google it. and go fuck yourself, because that's how people respond to a lot of questions on Reddit and forums and things like that. They needed to find the models that you interact with have already been fine-tuned to kind of not be an asshole to you and to actually answer you every time you answer a question. It doesn't understand the logical situation that it's in. It is just being weighted towards what people define as successful. So even though based on its training, its statistically most likely answer is fuck you and go Google it, they reinforce. They say, that's not right. It's better to answer every time, answer every time, answer every time. That runs through all models, image models, text models, things like that. And this is way too long conversation. Again, I'll just circle back to the base point. That actually precludes logic being a key thing for it to go for. So from my understanding again. So from that space, it actually does seem like logic may be unsolvable for the models, because they always need to be, they're always going to be being reinforced towards what is successful. And the criteria for successful has blown way beyond logic. So yeah, it might be that something like that will never get fixed. But there's other things on my list of things that I think AI might actually never be able to do. But suffice to say, consistent art direction is not on them. I'm sure it can figure that out. I'm sure someone already has a way to do that, honestly. Sorry, I had a question. Is finishing a portfolio for college in 20 to 25 days doable? Yeah, it is. It's not advisable, but for college, it's doable. To be a professional artist, not at all. Not at all. But for college, sure. If they have, because the good thing about college is that they tell you specific things they want to see a lot of the time. So you just work to that. A lot of coffee, no sleep. All right, everybody. I got to roll. I got caught up talking about AI and reinforcement and things like that. I'm going to leave. And now I'm late. Goodbye to Noxud, goodbye to QB Boy, goodbye to Mr. Shrives, goodbye to Daryl Grant, goodbye to Jonathan Macapofunin, goodbye to Chocolate Bar 6785, goodbye to Namogtist, goodbye to Michael Zerkopf, goodbye to Oliver Spin, goodbye to Bick Nguyen, goodbye to the Retromaniac, and all the others who are here. Take care, everybody. Sorry that I have to run, but it is past my bedtime. And I have charges that I need to take care of, and I need to be sharp for them. Goodbye, everyone. Rest well. Thanks for drawing today. Bye-bye, everybody.